Hello, my name's Kevin, this is Dirty 20 Gaming, and this is part 3 in a series of videos on how to make interesting characters. This one is about story arc and character development. I'm always a little surprised to see how many people don't do this part for their characters. To me, it's integral. All that a story arc is the story that you want to explore with your character that runs in parallel with the story the DM is telling. So why plan one at all? I get it. It's probably more realistic to not plan one. I find that they prevent aimlessness. Going with the flow is certainly more realistic, but we aren't really replicating reality when we role play. We're telling stories, and well built characters on solid story arcs really help to move that story along. Another thing is it gives you another filter to use when you're helping, that'll help you to decide how your character reacts in any given situation. Every one of those that you can get is a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. In some cases, like a coming of age story, if that's the story you're going to tell with this character, this is meta knowledge. This is information the character doesn't know. They don't know they're on a coming of age story arc. So some people would argue that this is meta knowledge and it's bad and you shouldn't do it. I would respond by saying you are the co-author of a story as well as a person playing a character. As such, if it makes the story better, use it. It's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree in the comments below. It's usually pretty simple to justify these things in game. It's not difficult in most cases. One thing I do that helps me a lot is I actually visualize story arcs as arcs. So, like this one. This is probably the most common one. This is the revenge story arc. I watched them kill my parents in front of me, and I will hunt down the one-armed, one-legged, one-eyed man until it's the last thing I do. I'll kill him. It's shaped like it is because at the start of the game, your character is in no way, shape, or form powerful enough to face off against this evil bugger who did this to their family. They have to satisfy themselves with gathering information, taking out their minions and their underlings, gathering more information, and eventually building up their own power until the point where they can go and face this creature or beast or bastard magic user with tattoos on his skull, usually. It's also the story arc for overcoming anything. Overcoming insurmountable odds is the same story arc, and that's that shape for the same reason. Also, success in spite of a weakness, the same arc. Now, if you add a vertical line at the start of this graph, you end up with the fall and rise story arc, which is your character has done something absolutely horrible and is now going to try and recover from that in some way. This next one is I call it the coming of age story arc. It also works for anybody who's resisting the urge to take responsibilities that are by right theirs, or anybody who's trying to earn something. It's jagged like that because of successes and failures along the way. So the coming of age story, perhaps they act like an adult, then they act like a child, then they act like an adult, and off they go until eventually they learn to grow up, take responsibility for what they're supposed to do, and usually in that case end up saving the world. Those are probably the two most common ones. This is by no means an exhaustive list, so please, again, add yours below. Talk about a couple special cases here. This one is making amends. There is a sharp vertical line that goes down at the start of this one, but sometimes it's before the game starts, sometimes it's shortly after the game begins. We talked about the fall and rise with that first curve. This is an extreme version of that. This is either just before the game starts or just after it starts. Your character has done something horrible. Absolutely horrible. And they now devote all of their energies, all of their time, every second of every day to trying to make amends for what they've done. That's why it's shaped like that. It never ends. It's unstopping. It is an endless urge to make up for something which you may discover is something that can't be made up for. And the last one that I'm going to talk about, the last of the regular ones I'm going to talk about today, This is the not a commonly played one. This is finding a new way or finding a new cause. So this is your character moving along the regular story arc, and then suddenly, for some reason, they have a falling out with their god. Their patron turns their back on them. They decide they cannot, in good faith, be a druid anymore. They give all of that up or have it all taken away and have to find a new way to succeed. This can be a really challenging arc to follow if you have that all those abilities and skills taken away at too high a level. So if you do this, do it at a lower level, lose everything you've got when you're at second or third level so that you're only a little bit behind, and with working with the DM, you can make up that gap by doing exceptional things. This can be as simple as multi-classing or as complex as completely giving up one class and trying to learn another one. Again, work with your DM on this. They need to be in on this kind of curve. There is one special case. This is the one that every single character in a game like D&D 5e goes through. This is the level up story arc. It's behind all the other ones, and it is your class features, your subclass features, your patron boons, your spells, your invocations, your meta magic. As you gain each of those as you move along, it makes you slightly more powerful. So that arc everyone goes through, even if they haven't specifically got one of the other ones in mind. One or more things to remember here. It is absolutely essential that your story must fit in with the Dungeon Master's world. It's their game, so work with them. Don't script the game by any means, but do ask your DM to put you in situations that will test your faith, or give you opportunities to make bad decisions, or that force you to justify your behavior to your patron or your god, as examples. Let the DM know that you want your character to snap and ask for their help. Above all else, explain your story arc to them so that they know what you're trying to do and they can help you along the way. This can add a real depth to your character, in my opinion. It gives you direction. It gives you something to focus on. It pretty much defines your short, medium, and long-term goals. So having said all of that, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, game creatively.